let's also do this Ron DeSantis thing here.
Speaking of puppets.
Speaking of somebody who really just does not want to be here. I mean, that's the energy that he gives off, which is not ideal, right? For a presidential candidate. You're trying to
It's pretty
win people
counterintuitive, yeah.
He also grinds his teeth here a lot. I'm not going to make any assumptions.
Yeah.
Who told you that?
This is
I saw it with my own eyes, Ron.
When I wake up at 9 a.m. on a Saturday, I'm grinding my teeth thinking, this is what I do, is this sort of really hard. You can see it. You can almost see the flakes of tooth.
Right. Thinking just, God.
Sanding down to a fine powder.
Halfway in a bad dream.
Sanding down to a fine powder as the 200th local reporter asks you why you suck so bad at campaigning for president.
Yeah.
Why does everybody hate you?
And let's watch him try to grapple with this.
Your campaign said the other day that the knives are out for you at that debate. I got to ask you about that. Plus, I got to ask you, I know it's not your campaign, but Never Back Down put out a memo that people are talking about. So I'd like to get your reaction to both.
Start over. Okay.
Well,
I'd watched this before, but not on my phone, not on the big screen. It really is art to watch the pain in his face, the faked smile, and then the transition to the I must grind my teeth because I am so infuriated by your question right now. I am so high strung and stressed out that I've got to pretend that I'm smiling here. But we'll start over because that's a scary face. 10 seconds of facial expression.
And just for context, that memo apparently leaked from the Never Back Down PAC, which is essentially DeSantis' shadow campaign. And the suggestions were that he more ardently defend Trump and, quote, take a sledgehammer to Vivek Ramaswamy.
Well, we'll see if he's got the balls to go after Vivek, his top competition. That will be on the debate stage on Wednesday.
That's still really lame advice. No, you need to go after Trump. Actually stick the knife in. Say this is he's clearly not disciplined for this. He's effed this all up. He was a one-term loser. I'm the guy now. Take the mantle, man. I mean, it wouldn't work because
nothing's gonna work.
He looks like
point.
Toombs. I don't know if you guys haven't seen X-Files, right? There's a Tomb. Maybe I looked that up, but there's a Toombs character that Ron DeSantis looks exactly like in this clip.
In this clip. All right, here we go.
Your campaign said the other day that the knives are out for you at that debate. I got to ask you about that. Plus, I got to ask you, I know it's not your campaign, but Never Back Down put out a memo that people are talking about. So I'd like to get your reaction to both.
Well, on the memo, it's not mine. I haven't read it, and it's just I think it's something that we haven't put off to the side. But in terms of the debate, look, I know from the military, when you're over the target, that's when you're taking flak. And if you look really in the last 6 to 9 months, I've been more attacked than anybody else. Biden, Harris, the media, the left, other Republican candidates, and there's a reason for that because people
can't even say Trump.
That I'm the biggest threat. So we view it as positive feedback. We'll be ready to do what we need to do to deliver our message, but we absolutely expect that and we'll be ready for it.
And that means punching
Sorry,
back.
pause it one second there.
Yes, it means...
I do just want to note that when DeSantis says, when you're over the target, that's when you're taking flak. He wasn't actually a bomber pilot. He was a attorney in Guantanamo, and the flak might have been the insurer being vomited up by detainees that were being force-fed it while he was there to make sure that they weren't being tortured.
Yeah, and he watched, and that has been now well documented by detainees who have identified him.
If your Brooks Brothers suit's getting covered in vomit from Unsure, you might be over the detainee.
We still have a little bit more.
Biden, Harris, the media, the left, other Republican candidates, and there's a reason for that because people know that I'm the biggest threat. So we view it as positive feedback. We'll be ready to do what we need to do to deliver our message, but we absolutely expect that and we'll be ready for it.
And that means punching back.
It means yes. It means defending ourselves, but more importantly, showing why we are the leader to get this country turned around.
That is just, man, the most pathetic garbage ever.
Yeah,
I mean,
not to be toxic masculinity there.
He's afraid to say he who must not be named.
Yeah.
I mean, you do not have the stuff. And I don't know if that would have made a difference in the end. Before he officially announced, we were saying on this program that we didn't think he had the stuff, especially when the New York Times and like other mainstream publications thought he was Trump without the baggage, and he's just he's running away with the nomination. It's just it was super clear that Trump's hold over the party still remained.
Yeah. And
the only way you break that is by appearing strong yourself.
Exactly. You have to be stronger than them.
And he looks like a little weakling.
I'm being attacked by everyone. Like Kamala Harris, bro, nobody's paying attention to
No one
Kamala
cares. You're in a race in the Republican primary. So name the guy that has a 20-point lead on you in Iowa who now is like facing multiple criminal indictments. You're afraid to name that guy? This is the party that loves the strong man. How are you gonna survive? This is a tweet that Matt pointed out before the show.
Yeah, I think Brandon Carrot bless you.
Thank you.
Want to know? Are you with us, American flag? And if you scroll down to the stats here, this is 2 days old. 10 retweets. 10 retweets. Wow. 425 quote tweets. So that and 153 likes. So about 3 times the amount of quote tweets as there is to likes. And yeah, like out of 2 million views, he got 10 retweets.
I'm gonna pull up Real Clear Politics right now and just look at the general polling, if we don't mind. Because the reason that he's being told to attack Vivek Ramaswamy, maybe they'll do a rap battle a la 8 Mile. It would be because I have to pick one white rapper. That would have to be DeSantis in that situation. I mean, that's his next closest opponent in many ways. Is that not the case?
In some recent general polling, but also in some state polling, Vivek has either like tied him or surpassed him by like 1 or 2%. At first, I think it was Tim Scott, but even Scott's, I think, fallen back a little. So I literally think
I'm pulling this. I'm sending this to you right now.
We can put this up. Yeah.
This is the National Republican Nomination Poll, which again, it doesn't necessarily determine everything, because you have to go state by state, and that can change a lot. But as I mentioned in headlines, Trump is up by 20 points in Iowa, and 2/3 of Republican likely caucus goers in Iowa say he didn't commit any serious crimes. I mean, the Real Clear Politics average has Trump up nationally by 40.9 points. And then you'll see here,
DeSantis is just still
the green line nosediving. Trump increased support in that time, and then the little creep up at the bottom there, the light blue line, is Ramaswamy.
Now, this is interesting, and we'll be talking about this on Wednesday night too. But Bradley, if you could do a Google search for me. If you search Vivek Ramaswamy Soros, you're going to find why this ain't going nowhere either.
Yeah.
I did not know this, but we talked about this with the Million Death Cult boys for Left Reckoning this weekend, that Vivek is a...
Vivek rhymes with cake.
Vivek rhymes with cake. It will go to the Paul and Daisy Soros Fellowships for a New America. And this is... you could kind of call this affirmative action paid for by George Soros here, maybe. Vivek Ramaswamy is the founder and CEO of Roivant Sciences. Yeah, but there he is. Oh, let me scroll up to make sure you get the Soros thing. So yeah, he got a fellowship awarded in support of work towards a JD in law at Yale University.
Whoa.
So this
Soros-funded candidate.
This young populist is not only an Ivy Leaguer, but he was paid to go to the Ivy League by George Soros. So good luck, Vivek. Saying there are 2 genders and that God is real. You're going to need to say a lot of that shit, because I also saw people saying, I won't vote for a first-generation immigrant from a country that has, like, rape issues. So you're going to experience a lot of racism, Vivek, and I'd like to see how you address that forthrightly, if you maybe minimize it because you need votes. And this sort of thing, which is, to me, you're dead in the water. Like, you're not going to be able to look past the Paul and Daisy Soros fellowships for a new America.
Well, I mean, he's running to make some money and maybe get tapped to be VP or something like, you know, I don't know, some psycho like FTC or Treasury Secretary thing or whatever. But Trump isn't going after him. He says, I like Vivek on the campaign trail, and that coincides.
Who's good?
Who's good? He said Ramaswamy.
Ramaswamy.
Can't even say his name, but he's good. And then that's literally part of when you see that uptick in that polling, because it's still Trump's party. And to bring it back to DeSantis, that's please, the graph one more time, if we could just put it up. Look at the difference. It is much more closer for the strategy for him is to pick off that 7% that Ramaswamy has, because the Trump stuff is so insurmountable. The difference between you could put the gap between Ramaswamy and DeSantis, you could multiply it 3 times, and then they would equal the gap between Trump and DeSantis.
And go ahead, Matt.
Like, what this is, and if you want to stir shit with your conservative, acquaintances. What this is DeSantis knowing that his only chance of beating Trump is for an external event to happen outside of his control.
The deep state has to get involved,
whether it's legal or pulmonary. And if I was a Republican Trump supporter, I think that's what's happening now. Is people are realizing that about DeSantis. Is he sort of, whether or not he's like helping the deep state get Trump or not, he's sort of like pegging his stake to that.
He's treading water and praying for an act of God from Jack Smith, who's going to be enemy number 1 for most people in the Republican Party who don't want to see Trump prosecuted. So there's an understanding of that complicity. And I'm going to make a prediction right now. After the debate on Wednesday, just give it a few days, Ramaswamy's poll numbers are going to go up after DeSantis tries to go after him, because Ramaswamy's going to tie himself to Trump. That's my prediction.
I don't think this is a particularly earth-shattering take here, but I also think I obviously don't think even DeSantis, who obviously is like blanching at the fact that Trump is kicking his ass so badly, I don't think the guys who are like Ramaswamy, even potentially Haley and Scott, who have been pretty hesitant to attack Trump, but also DeSantis, like that group, I don't think they actually really care whether they win or not, or whether it's Trump. I actually just don't. I think it's baked into their calculation that no matter what happens, we'll get a fellowship, we'll be on the boards of some things, we'll write another book, get some sort of consultancy. I don't think they care. But I think maybe some people would have a harder time believing that guys like Chris Christie, Mike Pence, Asa Hutchinson, Doug Burgum, maybe they are Will Hurd somehow making it on this poll, don't actually care, or actually care, have a real genuine desire to defeat Trump in the Republican primary. But the reason why I don't think that they actually do is because the best thing for them to do to beat Trump would be to drop out of the race.
Yep.
And there is zero way that they will do that before the first primary hits, and then it's already going to be too late.
Yep.
Like, none of these guys have any actual serious designs on defeating Trump, because they will literally, they'd rather amputate themselves than stop sucking at the fire hose or the spigot that is presidential campaigning as a turnstile for more gainful employment.
Yeah, and I mean, it's the same reason why we've pointed this out, why Marjorie Taylor Greene and Boebert go at each other, right? When they could team up and be some sort of right-wing squad, right? But being they are highly individualistic and selfish, and that doesn't work well with kind of coalition building for any greater good.
Right, when you want to be like the capital G guy, you can't have someone else also being the guy.
Yep.
So like when Boebert submits her articles of impeachment, Marjorie Taylor Greene isn't like, good for you. She's like, wait, those were actually mine. Give them back.
Yep.
Give me mine.
They're just, hitting each other on the playground.
The campaign slogan of the 2024 Republicans, gimme mine.
Dago Lefty, DeSantis sounds so pathetic, trying to allude to his military service to sound tough. He was a desk jockey, for fuck's sake.